I'd like to call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals for Oconee County meeting for April 26th, 2021. First order of business is we lost our secretary. Mr. Chapman has moved on. We need a new secretary. Do I hear a nomination?
I would move that we select Vivian to be our secretary.
Do I hear a second? Second. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Do I hear any other people? Anyone in the audience like to be the secretary? All in favor of Ms. Vivian Compier being our secretary, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. 7-0. Congratulations, Vivian.
Congratulations, Vivian.
Tight race.
Kind of a dubious honor, right?
Okay, our next item of business is approval of the minutes from the last two meetings. Let's consider the minutes for January 27th first. Do I have a motion? We approve them, and we'll approve and second them. If anyone has any comments,
I
we'll...
move the acceptance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, are there any comments, changes, additions? We need to look at them a little bit. Let's make sure we get these right, because this was a long meeting. Both of them were.
Seemed to be all right tonight.
Okay. Is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of accepting the minutes from Wednesday, January 27th as written, please raise your hand, say aye. Okay, it's 7-0 approved. Okay, the minutes for, I'm in the right place here.
March 22nd.
Minutes for March 22nd, 2021. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Second. That we approve the minutes? Now, are there any comments on these?
I abstained since I was not here at the meeting.
I agree, yes. There are only 5 of us here. Myself, John Eger, Bill Gilster, Bill Decker, and Tim Mays were all here last meeting. So, any comments from those of us who were there, or here? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes for March 22nd, 2021? Okay, we have 5 in favor, 0 against. Those minutes are approved.
That would be 6.
That was only 5 were there. 5 were present at the meeting.
Other
Like 5 of us-
two abstained from voting on
Oh,
it.
2 abstained.
Right, 2 abstained.
Probably should have abstained from the first one because I wasn't there yet.
That's right, you did,
And I was not on yet, so,
but for the first one, that's right, you were
yeah,
not.
January I was not here.
That's right.
Y'all broke me in on that March one.
Yes, for the March meeting, we had 5 here, including the 2 new gentlemen, and for, pardon me, just to get my act together here.
Yep.
And for, oh, okay. We all square on that, Vivian?
Yes.
Square what we got, okay. Okay, brief statement of how we're going to proceed tonight to consider the applications. The applicant presents their case, tells us what they want to do and why. Staff will have an opportunity to make any comments they have on the application. Then we'll allow any citizens who are interested in making comments, they can make comments. If the applicant wishes to reply to some of those comments from the citizens, they're able to do that. And then the board will consider the application. I try to be fairly lenient on time, but please be aware that we'll all like to wind this up as soon as we can. So without any further ado, we'll proceed with application number VA 21-05. Property owner, the Neal Group SC LLC, is requesting a variance of various distances from the 25-foot setback requirement from the right-of-way property line to permit an existing foundation for a home at 202 Cove Court, Seneca 29672. The tax ID is 193-0801021. Before we go any further, I believe Mr. Egar needs to recuse himself. He has a potential conflict. Okay, Mr. Neal, you're up.
How are you guys doing? Good, I'll try to be as brief as possible. I bought the lot in Shelter Cove. Sent due diligence and contingencies to the seller when we purchased the lot. The HOA restrictions that was sent to us showed us the 15-foot setback. We were unaware of the county change somewhere in between there. We viewed 8 other properties or 8 other houses that had been constructed since the subdivision was developed. 5 of those prior to the 25-foot, 15-foot change in the setback, 3 after that change, that were all within 15 or 16 foot from the 15-foot property pins. When we found out that the foundation was being put in by our builder, when we found out that the setback had changed, we immediately stopped. We did allow the foundation guys to finish, so they didn't leave the subdivision in a mess. Made them stop, of course, applied for the variance. After we applied for the variance, I met with our architect in Charleston and tried to make any adjustments we could possibly make to the plan that, might get us in that setback, meet the square footage requirements, still allow for the septic to meet guidelines from the lake. We were unable to make, 6 inches to a foot of changes and still meet the square footage requirement. So we're asking for the bare minimum. We have the approval from the homeowners association for the setback variance. They have approved, they're okay with the look in the subdivision. And it is in line with the house across the street, the house directly beside, the house across the cove, and it is a private road. It has not been turned over to the county as of this time. So like I said, we're asking for the bare minimum just to get the house on the lot and still meet the new DHEC requirements.
Explain to me a little bit exactly what the changes are that you saw between the setbacks that the county has.
So, when we submitted the application, the builder submitted it with 25 foot from the curb to the house, thinking that that was the minimum. When the surveyor come out, he specified it was 25 foot from the property pin, which would put us 35 foot from the curb. And of course, we immediately started digging, looking at neighbors' property, adjacent properties, trying to figure out, where we went wrong on that part of it. So again, we slid the house, adjusted the house all that we possibly could, actually changed the angle on the garage by about 15 degrees to keep it, in the old setback, and then reapplied for the septic permit, to the new location, and of course, it was approved as well.
Okay. Ms. Compier, do you have any comments concerning this?
I approved it, this is the site plan that was submitted, and I approved it according to this site plan. Mr. Neal and I did have a couple
Right.
conversations back and forth about where the property line was, and he was saying what his builder was saying, and I was saying, I don't know where that is, I go by the site plan and the property line. So there was some
Right.
confusion back and
Just
forth.
confusion.
But he did stop when he was brought aware. And I have spoken to the homeowners association, and they're okay with whatever y'all decide here.
So we had a letter that they sent to you.
I do
We
have
have
a
a copy
letter
of that,
here.
and
It is
that's
actually
still in
written.
force.
Yeah.
I have a letter right here.
I have a question.
Surely.
Mr. Chairman. I'm a little confused when it talks about the house. The house is the foundation that's there? There's nothing more than the foundation now?
No, we stopped after the foundation until we could address this and figure out what we had to do, and then we could make adjustments to that foundation if it was necessary. The adjustments to the foundation to meet the square footage and get a garage there, in reality, probably means bulldozing the foundation and selling the lot. There's no way for us to get the 1,400 square foot and the 2-car garage, because the 2-car garage cannot be an undercarriage in a basement. It has to be adjacent to the 1,400 square foot main level. And that particular lot, the left side in the cove with the 50-foot line and the setback line, there's an area about 3 foot wide that's a little sliver that goes all the way to a little bridge. So, it's 3/4 of an acre, but the reality is there's about 0.42 that's actually usable.
It's got that long finger that runs down
Right.
along Cove Court, is it? That goes down to the drainage area, I guess I'll call it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you say the septic tank had been approved? Is
It had been
already-
reapproved to the new location should these variances be approved, yes.
Where is that location?
So it is, I have the new, no, I don't have the new approval with me.
Can you just show us?
The septic will sit, I'm sorry, don't mind me walking over here.
Mr.
So
Neal?
the septic tank is really close to the 20-foot mark behind the foundation.
Okay,
And you see the long line along the dotted line? That's the actual drain field.
that's your drain field. Okay, thank you.
140 foot, is that what I see there?
I think it's approved for 135 or 140, a gravel instead of any other alternative.
Correct. Okay, at this time, I'd ask for, are there any comments from folks in attendance? Anyone else in the audience who'd like to make a comment on this application? Okay, hearing none, I guess you have no rebuttal then. So, let's consider this. Do we have any other questions? Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's proceed through our criteria then. First criteria, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. Could I have a motion in the affirmative, please?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second? Okay, any discussion?
So the things that make this different than other properties is that, one, they have a foundation already there, and there's been a lot of communication back and forth that adds to the confusion, I guess, of what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. So it seems to me those are the extenuating circumstances. Then also there's a good part of that lot that's really not buildable, so he is constrained in terms of space as well. So that seems to apply to that particular motion.
Yeah, I think I agree to that. I wouldn't be surprised if you had ironed out all the restrictions ahead of time, there wasn't any confusion, you might still come to us for a variance and say, hey, I can't build on here because I need to get closer. I gotta squeeze this in, and it's certainly in, it's done very similarly to what other houses in the neighborhood have been done. And if you look at where the house is, and it sits, it doesn't look like it's squeezed up to the road compared to other houses or anything. It fits in fairly nicely, so.
And that was one other thing that I would like to add. There was a restriction in there about the sight line from the intersection, and we do meet the footage distance off of that sight line. We do leave that sight line open for traffic.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of this motion, raise your hand. And we have 6, so that's 6 in favor, none opposed. Second criteria, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Have a motion in the affirmative, please.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Thanks for the same reasons that we discussed on the first one, and really the second case says the same thing.
Exactly, I agree. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's 6, not 7, it's 6.
Yes, sir.
Criteria C, because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Have a motion, please?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Any further discussion on this? All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
We have 6 in favor, none opposed. The last criteria, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent uses or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Have a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
I think it's important, we already mentioned that the homeowner association, they've already agreed to this, that they don't have any problem with it, so I think that
I agree.
covers this.
I mean, that applies very, very directly to this. And we have no neighbors here saying they've got a problem with it, so. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 6-0 in favor. Okay, so in summary, based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed variance be approved? A motion, please?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 6-0 again approved. Thank you, sir, you're all set.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Well done.
Okay, our second item tonight is number SE 21-03.
Can you get John back?
Yes, he's coming, I saw him coming. I should wait, you're right. Where'd he go? Here he comes.
You guys mind if I keep the mask off or on by
Please,
chance?
take it off, whatever,
Gotcha.
suit yourself.
Yeah, we are vaccinated, so I just
Mr.
wanted to put that
Marino,
out
if you
there.
would like to use this?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you so much. All right, I am
Hang on,
Dan.
I need to read
Go ahead, sorry about that.
the issue first. This request is a special exception under Chapter 32 of the Oconee County Court of Ordinances that is specific to group residential facilities under Article 5 of the chapter. SE 21-03, Phoenix Development Group Partners, Daniel Marinko has requested a special exception for a full-service, independent living, assisted living, and memory care facility at an unaddressed parcel at the northeast corner of Sheep Farm and Bonnyland Roads. Tax ID number 207-0001-017.
Mr. Chairman, I need to.
And yes, and Mr. McKee needs to recuse himself. So again, we have benefit of 6 tonight. Okay, you're Mr. Marenko?
Yes, sir, I am.
Please make your case.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm Dan Marinko with Phoenix Development Group Partners. I am the development manager for this project here that we got planned for Seneca. Appreciate you having us tonight. Sorry that we walked in a bit late. We were coming from Roswell and got stuck on the inevitable 85 traffic. So we made it though, and love to be here. Really enjoyed working with everybody in the county so far, and look forward to continuing that relationship. But in an effort to stay kind of short and concise, do have a quick PowerPoint for you guys. I'd probably recommend looking over at this big screen. There's some renderings and some site plans that we'll pay attention to. So that being said, I'm also with Mr. Tom Payton, who's our Chief Development Officer here tonight. So we wanted to be present here for you guys. But what we wanted to start with is just giving you a quick background about who the operator is, because you guys are going to care about who's in your community, who's going to run this building, and what are they going to bring to the community, a thriving community in Seneca and Oconee County at that. So the operator here is Phoenix Senior Living. That is our sister company. Phoenix Senior Living has been around since 2015. They have 35 operating properties throughout the Southeast, over 6 different states, and that's really formed over time over those last 6 years. So Phoenix Development Group has started developing all the properties for Phoenix Senior Living over the past 3 years, and so that's where we come into play here. So what I'd just like to share here is just kind of a little bit of background and just showing our core values for Phoenix Senior Living, just really committing to the relationships formed between the staff and the residents and the community as a whole, because we want to picture ourselves as really a part of the community, not just a business that's coming in. So that being said, kind of roll into some testimonials about Phoenix Senior Living. We really want to emphasize just that relationship that's formed between both the staff and the families and in the community as well. Oconee County, specifically Seneca, has quite a bit of residents that are aging in population, and that is a key factor in kind of one of the comprehensive plan needs for the next 10 years, was to provide housing for the aging population. So that being said, you know, we really wanted to focus on strong employee and company relationship. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves in here with Phoenix Senior Living is, you know, how we support our communities, how we support our employees on the front line, and, you know, totally being a background for them to operate at a high capacity. Forgive me here, I'm getting a little bit parched. So. So this totally allows us to transition into something we really pride ourselves in, and it's being actually listed on the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's top places to work in the city of Atlanta over the last few years. We have made the list for the large companies, which is 500 employees or more, both of the last 2 years. And this year, we actually finished 16th on the list. And you can kind of just see some of those people that we're up against, and big dogs, including T-Mobile, Marietta City Schools, which is a very large school district over there, some universities, some gas stations, and just really situate ourselves, you know, amongst that elite group of companies in the Atlanta area. So this next slide kind of just goes over, you know, how many people do we employ? Well, local to Atlanta, we have over 770. Overall in the southeast, that 6-state footprint region that we have upwards of 1,600. So those 1,600 employees are all supported by a home office staff of 50 plus, very engaged. We have several quarterly events. We have several, if you're an office manager, you have a regional director that you can go to. You have a home office you can go to. You have other communities you can go to. So from that perspective, we really do, you know, provide support for all of our communities. That being said, notable that this project would bring about 53 jobs to Oconee County and Seneca. So that's one of the things we wanted to talk about as well. All right, so we're transitioning more into the project here now. Project location is at the northeast corner of Sheep Farm and Bountyland Road. It's largely undeveloped land at the moment. I think the property that we are looking at, the subject parcel, it abuts Thrift Development Group's development shop. It's real close to the St. Paul's Catholic Church, and it sits just about 1.5 miles north of 123, the major commercial connector. I know we'd like to probably stop and talk a little bit here. And do you guys generally ask questions on site plans as we go, or would you like me to work through it and then work towards questions at the end?
Why don't you go ahead and make your presentation? We'll be glad to ask questions at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for what you can see here, guys, this is the site plan at that northeast corner. This is about a 16.5-acre parcel. And what we were able to site plan with our local civil engineer, Smith Planning Group out of Watkinsville, Georgia, is basically a 57-unit independent living pad. On the south portion of the site, abutting Bountyland Road. And so this is made up of, quadplexes, triplexes, and 6-packs of cottages. And so obviously you can see it kind of spread throughout. You have a couple triplexes, a couple quadplexes, and some of those larger 6-packs. So those independent living cottages are supported by a about 7,000 square foot clubhouse building, which you can see right here. And that clubhouse building will be amenitized. It will have a dining space. It will have a warming kitchen. It will have a game room. It will have a fitness and wellness suite. It will have an outdoor pool area, which is shown here. And we'll get to some renderings and elevations later so you guys can see the product. And it will also have some other outdoor amenities such as this pickleball court. And you can kind of see some of the walking trails that we want to incorporate to add to the green spaces and keep some of that natural airy feel to the mountain region of Oconee County. What's really cool about this site, just to pitch it in, some of these cottages will overlook the Blue Ridge Mountains off in the distance, which sit about here, and we really wanted to incorporate some of that theme with our development. Other things to note on the site plan, as far as the aisle goes, these are all going to be 24-foot wide roads, so wide roads designed to manage emergency vehicle traffic. We also have an 8-foot landscape strip outside of those roads that will be, you can kind of see it here, tough to scale, but that will be dressed with trees and plantings sporadically to make it feel residential and try to pull in some of those residential feels from some of the Cliffordburg Lee's developments, and other residential developments in the Seneca region. The last thing I would note on the site plan is this grade in this general area is very gentle. We want to promote, foot traffic. We want our residents to kind of be able to walk throughout, interact with each other, use these amenity spaces without breaking too much of a sweat getting there. So these grades are all less than 2%, and we're able to kind of make this parcel a 2-pad development, having a higher elevation here, grading down to another elevation at this point. The other thing to note on this site, obviously, we're talking about what else is there. You have the independent living cottages. We also have this about 47,000 square foot main building right here. So this building is composed of the assisted living and memory care component. So this building is going to have 40 assisted living units and 26 memory care units. Like I said, about 47,000 feet. And this building is totally encompassing of a dining space, a full service kitchen, spas, salons, 3 interior courtyards, and several other amenities, including ADA design, that will help seniors grow and live in a comfortable space in Oconee County. As mentioned, there is the 24-foot fire lane around the building. One of the other things we are looking at doing, and we may ask questions about tonight, are potentially adding a roof feature, like a clock tower type feature. We haven't talked about that yet, I don't think, with Smith Planning Group, but just based on building heights and elevations, what is going to be allowable. So that's something I may ask you later in the conversation. But as you can also see, we do have a couple retaining ponds planned at the low side of the site, and we would like to turn those into walkable amenity features for the residents as well. So, did you guys want to ask questions on the site now?
I think we're all set. We'll wait.
Okay, absolutely. Just see if I missed any notes. The one thing I would really like to point out too is just proximity of the clubhouse to all the cottages. We just want that to feel like that's their building, like they can get there, like these residents can go enjoy coffee and read some books or go by the pool and really bring their grandchildren or their children out to enjoy a day in the community. This should be an interactive development rather than just, what gets categorized as just a senior living development that mom and dad have to go to finish their days. This is really what we want to be super interactive. We would like, community to be engaged, whether it be events, whether it be, caterings, whether it be collaborating with other businesses in the area. We would totally like to make that a community feel. Excuse me again, voice is cracking a little bit. Drink your water, it's good for you. All right. The other thing I would note, lastly, and this is important to you guys are concerned about traffic and how that's going to be affecting the community, the safety of the community. I've already mentioned the wide roads, the landscape strips, and the sidewalks to protect pedestrians. The other thing is incoming traffic. We currently have planned a deceleration lane along Sheep Farm Road right here. And the intent for that is obviously to slow down traffic. Sheep Farm Road currently has an existing turn lane, if I can hit the middle, right there. So it's 2-lane road, it has a turn lane that can service the development. We are planning for a right turn deceleration lane at the moment as well. Along Bountyland Road, this is very close to the intersection. There's a stoplight right here between Sheep Farm and Bountyland. And based on that, we are not able to add a deceleration lane at the moment. We have an ongoing traffic study that's going to help us determine the rest of this. But we are anticipating right now being a right in, right out only off of Bountyland Road.
What's holding you up there? You anticipate not being able to do that? Is it DOT?
Yes, I
helping you
think
do that, or-
it's partially DOT. It's going to be really related to the traffic study too. But it is the intersection here. If you can kind of see, I don't know if it's drawn to scale, but the turn lane, the right turn lane kind of starts here. But you don't have enough space necessarily at the moment to create that. So we're getting the traffic study done currently. It's going to help us determine, but as a fallback, you could always be right in, right out, and that's what we're anticipating at this moment in time. All right, now we've talked about the site plan. We'd like to show you guys a little bit of what to expect these buildings to look like. So this here, and let me start by saying, this model building here, we have built a few of these in the Virginia and South Carolina areas to date. This one actually pictured is a real aerial image from our development in Fishersville, Virginia. We also have this building in Berryville, Virginia, and we're currently building it in Harrisonburg, Virginia, with intentions of building it in Indian Land, South Carolina as well. As you can see, single-story structure. We are really big on natural light. We love all these big, tall windows in the common spaces. You can see the 3 interior courtyards. We program these courtyards to be specific to the resident. So on the memory care courtyard, which would be here in this one, it's lots of walking paths, lots of circular paths and sensory equipment that those residents can participate in activities and potentially try to bring back some memories, as most of them are dealing with Alzheimer's. We have this central courtyard it's really the split between the memory care and the assisted living dining room. So that brings in a playground. As mentioned, we do want kids to come visit grandma and grandpa. We want their children to come visit. This gives an intergenerational play for those children to come. The other courtyard would be used by the assisted living residents. And we do something really cool here. We actually do like life-size chessboards. We do walking trails. We have a turf space for yoga and activities. And that's something we really like to incorporate in these retreat model buildings. This takes me to our cottage buildings. As mentioned, the cottages will service the independent living residents. This is a rendering here that we've recently had done of what a cottage quadplex could look like. So as you can see, this is one building structure, but it's got several units included with it. The things we like to focus on here, just beautiful architectural lines in the roof to make it feel like a little bit more than a single-story structure. We want it to match the architecture of the area. I know Thrift has a really good-looking building. I know the church looks really good right down the street, and we want to kind of continue that and carry that through the intersection. What is also shown here is a driveway per each unit with a single-car garage. And so as far as parking goes, every resident will have the ability to park a car in the garage, also have a driveway spot for an additional car. Outside of that, we will have additional parking, whether it be on the street or whether it be at the clubhouse building for these cottage residents. And I think I already touched on briefly, the grade between the cottages and buildings is going to be very gentle. We'd like to encourage, with the wide sidewalks, maybe golf cart access to and from buildings and amenity spaces. Obviously walking and interaction to the pickleball court that we'll have, or the clubhouse building, or just over to your neighbor's house for dinner. So we are looking forward to including that. This here would be an interior rendering of the cottage. What I would kind of guide you towards here is just the open access space designed to ADA, dwelling unit A guidelines. It's industry standard for independent living. Nice full service kitchens. So these residents here would be served one meal a day in our dining space in the clubhouse, but have the opportunity to cook for themselves for those other meals. We will provide housekeeping services. We will provide maintenance services should anything go wrong. We have a facilities director and maintenance techs who will be available to correct any requests. Fast forward to the bedrooms here, you can see another kind of example of what we may be doing. Nice open spaces. These are all 2-bedroom units. They will all include a back patio and a nice living space. And the total amount of cottages, once again, is 57 on this site. So we talked about the cottages, we talked about the main building. We totally want to amenitize these cottage spaces and allow these residents to fully maximize their life and what they get to do on a daily basis. These are renderings of what we expect our cottage clubhouse building to look like. So as you can see, we are trying to tie off some of the similar architectural features with the roof lines, with the building skin and materials, and really kind of drive an indoor-outdoor play and feel for this space. As you can see, we're including a pool area with some turf space. If you fast forward down to this one, there is kind of a fire pit and a grilling station. If you can see back there, it's tough to see, but This would be basically outdoor dining that leads into the dining space and potentially a roll-up garage door to the pub area that we would provide for these residents. Outside of that, we would definitely try to dress this up with landscaping to tie it into the residential feel. We don't want this to feel like a sore thumb of a commercial building in a residential area. Single-story structure, matching kind of roof lines, matching finishes, but solely designed to service the independent living resident. What I would like to kind of shift gears on now is talking about why this maybe makes sense for Oconee County and the use that it is. And so what I was able to do is take a look back at that comprehensive plan published in March of 2020, I believe. That was a 10-year plan, kind of just forecasting where Oconee County wanted to go and some of the things they may need to do to get there. And so what I've been able to do, it's tough to see, I can kind of walk you through it, but the gist of it is Oconee County is called out for establishing and partnering with both public and private institutions, both to extend infrastructure to allow for development, as well as find public and private institutions to help develop senior housing in particular. So what we have here is just a highlight of that coming straight out of the comprehensive plan. And in particular, I would like you guys to focus on just some of the timelines too. And so, for example, this strategy at the bottom, encourage and promote housing development that will allow the county's older residents to age in place, such as higher density single-family and multifamily developments, assisted living and nursing facilities. The goal for this timeline was about 2023. What's kind of ironic about where we fit in right here is we anticipate to probably start construction around August to September of 2021, and it would end up in us serving seniors by early 2023. So it fits right in with the timeline of what's proposed. The other thing I wanted to draw attention to is for the expansion of infrastructure. And in particular, I'm sure many of you are already aware, but there's an ongoing sewer agreement in play. We're working on getting that finalized. And that would totally help us drive this development, along with meeting some of those identified criteria in the comprehensive plan to bring development to the area. We feel like from Phoenix Development Group and Phoenix Senior Living side that the Sheep Farm Road connector between 123 and 28 is land that's going to blow up over the next 5 to 10 to 15 years. And this first step into doing this could be the sewer improvement and the retreat at Seneca, which we would bring to play in early 2023. The last thing I would say, coming from the comprehensive plan, would be that this was pulled in identifying areas in what category kind of the county felt best fit for growth. As you can see, it's tough. I'll try to highlight it, but the 123 connector is right about there, the commercial strip. Most of the region around it is in orange and classified as suburban transitional. The county defined suburban transitional region as area growth, or growth in areas of dense development and including infrastructure over the next few years. New uses may vary in nature and intensity, but should not negatively impact existing land uses. Regarding that last statement, we feel like senior housing is one of the safest forms of development. It is protecting our seniors, which is a criteria and need that each jurisdiction should place as a high priority. There's a growing population, and there's not enough homes, and there's not enough care. And what we would like to do is fill that void and gap in Oconee County and provide another option along the timelines that need to be met based on the comprehensive plan for you guys. Catch up here. So, the last thing I really wanted to do was just talk about how it fits in the surrounding land use. It's another big criteria that I've read about. Well, what's around us? Oconee Memorial Hospital, the new hospital that services the Oconee County area, even some of Clemson, sits just 1.6 miles to the south of us. Prime location for access to and from the hospital for resident safety, for individuals that may have visited the hospital that need a short-term stay at an assisted living facility. we are very close by, and it would just be something we always try to target whenever we go and try to find land to do these projects. You want to be close to the hospitals. Highway 123 commercial strip. We already talked about that being a mile north of it. The benefits there are, for especially these independent living residents that may still have their vehicles, they can get to and from where they need to go, run their errands, do their groceries, but still be a little bit separated to feel residential in nature. So this product that we're putting out truly does kind of blend the commercial and residential natures, but our goal is to make it feel as residential as possible through a commercial aspect. And so we feel that by being close to the strip, it provides them the ability to go do what they need to do on a daily basis. The Crossing neighborhood and Clifford B. Lee's are two residential developments that are very close by. The Clifford B. Lee's development is actually ongoing a phase 2 from what I understand at the moment. And that is probably the closest large development to this parcel. But like I said, we, through our site planning, through our product, want to provide a residential feel to fit in with the surrounding. There is some commercial business in the area, which also tailors to maybe our commercial side, where we're providing a service and employing 50+ people. Thrift Development Group is actually sharing the lot with us, and then right down the street, there's the St. Paul's Catholic Church, along with the commercial strip. So that's how I would like to portray us fitting in with the surrounding business. And at this point in time, we will be open to questions on anything and everything.
I have a question. I didn't hear you talk about what the proposed market for this opportunity is. You did a fine, great presentation describing the product, but I'd like to know, what age groups are you trying to go after? What kind of conditions should those age groups that they may have? So who is your target market, do you think?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So it varies a little bit upon the division of our business. The independent living, the average age is in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Assisted living and memory care, as individuals age over time, you're really getting to that mid-80s market, but just it could be anybody who needs assistance and care on their day-to-day lives and activities. These are individuals that may need help getting dressed, may need help bathing, maybe can't cook for themselves, or don't have the surrounding family or friends that can assist them on a daily basis. And so that can affect somebody at any point in their life. And so we would never turn somebody down because they were younger or they were older. It's just more of a matter of need. The memory care, on the other hand, is really driven by dementia and Alzheimer's. And so as folks continue to age, we commonly see a variable age sector for dementia. Some are older, some are younger. But we have 26 memory care units that will help embrace some of their cognitive disabilities by bringing back memories and trying to provide life skill enhancement to make them remember who they were and continue them on their journey of life. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. One follow-on question from a pricing standpoint. Is this be available for lower income people, or is it more for affluent people? I mean,
Absolutely. So this is it's a private pay community. So Medicare and Medicaid is not something that Phoenix Senior Living accepts. But it will be based on market rates. So we're not coming in, and doubling the competitor down the street. We feel like we have the ability to potentially charge a little bit more because of a new product and, quite honestly, a higher tier product than what's existing in the market. I believe the last build was about 2008. So there is a need for a new product in the market that brings new services and amenities to the area. That being said, it would always be close to market rate, plus the premium that we would bring for new units or larger units.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. How do you foresee any uptick in commerce with the local merchants?
As far as the commercial strip goes,
Food, where do you guys source everything?
yeah, so we generally have contracts for food services. I know the one off the top of my head for if we're, the food that we're cooking is through Gordon Foods. There definitely could be a lot of local uptick though, because at the end of the day, you are providing at least 57 independent living units. There are 2 bedrooms, so it could be up to 114 residents that could be going out and utilizing the commercial strip. As it relates to other commercial businesses supporting, as I said in the past, Phoenix Senior Living wants to fit into the community. They don't necessarily want to just be the new product that wants to lean on their reputation. We do want to partner with local, sources of entertainment or local sources of, events or sponsors, this and that. So from that perspective, I can say yes, I can see us engaging. As far as, it relates to grocery stores, commerce, this and that, I think there's a residential field that boosts some of that as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
One more question. How do you guys handle security?
Yeah, so we actually have a, are you relating to like resident
On-site
safety
security?
building?
Yeah.
Yep, so, let me just talk about our building, a little bit first. So we have access control, which is basically, in layman's terms, just door security measures. So our doors are not always open to the exterior. You can't just walk up as a stranger and open the door. We have what are called RFID locks and card readers, and so you'll have to have a specific chip to walk up to the door of the building, unless it's the front door, which has a reception area and people to greet you at all times. And that chip would allow you access into the building. The cool feature about that is it's got like a memory. So anytime if I were to go to a door at 10 a.m., somebody could check at 2 p.m. that day and see that I used my card key at 10 a.m. to get into the building. The same right goes with the cottages. So the front door of the cottages will have an RFID reader for in and out. So we can see if our maintenance man went into the unit. We can see if the housekeeper went in to do laundry that day. As it relates to site security, which is I think another part of your question, we have not on similar style products employed a full-time security guard to date. We haven't found the need. Should it be a suggestion, we would certainly maybe take it into our internal discussions and talk about the need. But we have found that our site is generally very safe in nature, and we do have on-staff personnel at all times, facility directors or maintenance techs, usually on staff during all operating hours. And we do have, control measures and communication measures between different parts of the site that can talk about anything as they arise.
Okay, so if someone walks up at midnight trying to get in the front door, you said it's open all the time, or?
No, I'm sorry about that. So during normal operating hours, that front door will be open to whoever. The doors surrounding the building, we're not.
Okay.
There will be a point in time where that front door does get locked,
Got it.
and there is somebody that has to buzz you in or let you in the front door through access control measures, as I alluded to. Good
Got it,
question.
thanks.
Yes, sir.
I'm interested in the sewer plans. How are you going to get sewer there?
Yes, sir. So we are working right now through Oconee County in a partnership with Blue Ridge Electric, Project Rise. We have our third public reading for the proposed agreement coming up on May 4th, but the intention would be to tie into the newly installed lift station closer to Highway 123, and we would put in an additional lift station at the northwest corner of our parcel. That lift station would basically feed a force main up to the crown of Sheep Farm and Bountyland Roads, which on the site plan, obviously right here. Force main would be located, the lift station would be located down here. We would force the sewage up, and then a gravity line would be installed along the remainder of Sheep Farm Road down to the existing lift station. That line would be sized larger in order to accommodate for future development at these parcels in the region.
Okay, so you're working that with council right now?
Yes, we are, yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, thank you for your presentation. At this time, is there any comments from the audience?
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
and I'd like to preface this by saying I'm a neighbor, and I'd rather have this development than a bunch of apartments. But my question, what about fire?
Fire protection?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that we would like to do in the development is ensure that at all times emergency vehicles can access
What
any
about
spot.
fire hydrants, water lines? Do we
Yep.
have, does county have that? Do you have that?
We would install a fire protection line, and it would be serviced by its own meter, and it would be at the capacity and flow rate required to deal with any fire situation on the development. And that is governed by business departments, building departments and fire marshals. They will overlook the plans and basically check off on everything prior to issuing us a building permit and a site permit to carry on with this development.
Okay, you talk about walking a lot. There's a Catholic church, and then there's a second church just a little further down. I don't know what kind it is, but there's religious services, and but there's no sidewalk. And in fact, in front of the thrifts, if it rains, there's actually a little lake in front of the thrifts. So how do these people get to these churches? And there's no sidewalks to Bountyland, to 28. There's a sidewalk, if you cross the street and go down to the corner, there's a sidewalk on Sheep Farm Road all the way to 123. Some people use it, but there's no sidewalk to get to that corner. There's no sidewalk to get to 28. And there is foot traffic there now. And there's no sidewalk, as I said earlier, repeating myself, to the churches.
Excuse me, I need to interpose myself here a little bit. We've gotten a little bit out of the way we normally do things. What we're looking for now is comments from anyone in the audience who wants to comment to us. We normally don't have conversations between the applicant and people in the audience.
When do we
That-
get
that
when do we get to ask questions?
You don't get to ask questions. He's presenting, I'll get to what we have to consider tonight. Your concerns really have more to do with the approval of the project by council and various departments in the county administration, as opposed to our
Your
our
concern.
responsibility here tonight.
Well, I'll ask one more question anyways, is Ron it. These people have built 35 facilities in 5 years. Do they have the money to finish this?
See, that's not our purview. That's not our purview. Sorry, that's it.
Okay.
I'll explain a little bit where we're concerned in
If
just a
there's
second.
if there's just a half-empty pit there in 5 years, or a deserted building,
I understand your concern, sir. That's not our concern. Ms. Compier, do you have any comments to make
No,
from an administration point of view?
In regards to this,
Yes.
as in, no, sir, no, I don't.
Let me explain a little bit where we're at. Board of Zoning Appeals is charged with making a special exception hearing on this project. Really very narrowly defined as a concern about group homes of this nature being put into a residential situation, or a situation where, maybe not your home, but a home where, for wayward boys, or a halfway house. The concern is that facility sited property in a residential area, for instance. And it's an opportunity for residents to come and make comments on whether that facility should be allowed. We really are not concerned with the physical aspects of the facility, the appropriateness of the developer, or whether we should allow the development to proceed. That's all county council. This is a very narrowly defined hearing here to decide whether this facility is appropriate for this location, and as compared to the surrounding areas. Is that kind of clear for everybody? Does everyone agree with what I've said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the choice of the word that you were talking about was, are we concerned? I think as individuals, we're concerned about all kinds of things, but as a board, I think maybe that's the area that, as a board, we have certain responsibilities that we have to adhere to that would cause us to be concerned about certain things for the board. But as individuals, we're concerned about profitability, all kinds of other things that aren't addressed to us.
Some of us are in the demographic that you're pointing toward.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone on the board have any questions about what I said? I'm trying to narrowly define what we're at. We're not here to decide road size or financial health of the developer or anything like that. We're here to decide, is this business appropriate for that location?
And does it cause a problem to the surrounding area in any way?
That's right. Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate for? Okay, that said, we have a little bit out of whack on how an extended way to consider this. The first thing we have to do is consider the criteria that apply specifically to group residential facilities. So the following criteria is specific to group residential facilities as outlined in 32-180 as board criteria for granting a special exception shall be as follows. So we're going to consider 5 criteria for this particular facility, and then we'll go into the standard special exception criteria. Ms. Compier tells me we need to do both. We need to go through both. So, the board have any questions about that? What we're going to do? Okay, so. The following criteria is specific to group residential facilities as outlined in 32-180 as board criteria for granting a special exception shall be as follows. Number one, traffic flow from the facility shall not present a danger to local residents, motorists, and pedestrians. So shall not present a danger. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So I like where he's going with sidewalks. I think that if we're talking about it being a safe place, are these folks able to walk down the street and go where they need to go safely without walking out in traffic and causing problems? So I mean, I don't know if that's something, I know that's handled somewhere else, but that's something that sticks out once he mentioned that the safety is an issue. We've got elderly people walking out in the street trying to go to a Catholic church.
Absolutely. I think the point is absolutely well taken. I think what we're doing on our site to absolutely maximize the safety is provide those same features you're referring to. We are looking at our site as a community that's interactive in itself. We didn't pick this site because we thought that, you know, people would be walking down to Publix or this or that. We want to engage in community activity where our residents can go to their neighbor's home. Our residents can go to the clubhouse.
So they're not leaving that facility.
They're not leaving that facility, correct. And to answer your question as well, any of the IL residents, as we have planned for, we have single car garages with an additional space in the driveway. We would anticipate and, ask that our residents, if they were leaving the site, were to be driving to these places. It's not intended to be something that is walkable to the church, but rather something that's walkable to the clubhouse, to the pickleball court on site, to engage in those types of activities.
But to ingrain your guys' self into the community, that'd be a great gesture.
Absolutely.
Throw some sidewalks in.
Yep, absolutely. And
I know that's off, Jim, I know that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's getting a little bit off the
Okay.
subject, but I agree that's the point.
anything else?
That's it.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've lost Mr. Egar for 1 second here. We'll wait, so we have the whole board.
Sounds good.
Just hang on.
No, I went a little bit longer. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. You have a good project. We want to make sure you had a
Yeah.
chance to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir.
I was not aware that Blue Ridge was working with this group, so I need to recuse myself.
You do? Okay.
I work for Blue Ridge Electric.
I understand.
Should have mentioned it a little bit sooner.
Yeah, so
Okay.
anyway, so I'll need to recuse myself from this
Okay,
discussion.
we still have a,
We have enough?
okay. Mr. Egar, we were talking about traffic and sidewalks and whatnot. Do you have any questions or any concerns in that area?
No.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of this criteria, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 now. 5 and 3. 5, yes. Okay. Number 2, noise, lighting, and activities carried out on the premises of facility shall not present a nuisance to local residents.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
No, any comments?
Looks
We
like
didn't
it's-
hear about lighting.
It looks like from its location, though, it doesn't look like it would really impact any.
But they'd have to go out of their way to make lighting a
Yeah.
problem. Okay, right.
Especially with when they're keeping it at a fairly low level. There's no
Yeah, and just to
high-
add to that comment, I explained at the beginning with the site plan, the main building's sitting on a lower pad than the cottages are, and most of those parking lot lights and that type of stuff are going to sit at that lower elevation. So those aren't gonna be as visible from the street, and it will be based on the foot candle requirements of local authorities, and based on kind of the calculations from our civil engineers. So we take that into account when we develop the sites.
Your worst case would be you'd have regular light poles throughout would be the highest.
That's correct. Yep, just standard street lights would be the highest thing you would see. It's not gonna be any car salesman lights blowing up the sky with advertisements, so.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye, please. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 5. Passed, 5-0. Number 3, the residents of the facility shall not present any potential danger to local residents. Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't see where they would cause anything. They're all elderly people and they're supervised.
Right, I don't. I agree. Any other comments? All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Passes 5-0. The residents of the facility shall reside in a safe and healthy environment. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think
I
we've
think the presentation
covered it.
made
It's,
pretty well covers the,
They're gonna be well supervised. It looks to me like they'd be, in a very safe environment, as a matter of fact. In fact, particularly the people that are with the memory problems.
any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. The proposed development is in compliance with the other provisions of this chapter. That chapter is the one concerning group residential facilities. A motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have. Okay, thank you. Okay, and, okay, so that's all we have to do on, take that off right now. That's all we have to do for the specific group residential facilities. We now have to consider this as a special exception, the way we normally do on other special exceptions. Criteria number 1, this request is in accordance with a comprehensive plan and consistent with the spirit, purposes, and the intent and specific requirements of this chapter, to include the definition and intent of the district in which the special exception is being requested. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think this project is right on with the comprehensive plan. I mean, it screams for this type of
Sure.
development, so it's right on.
Some of us were involved in the comprehensive plan development, so we understand where you fit.
The timeline worked out pretty well too, I'd say.
So, any questions?
I think that was well covered during the presentation.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. There it is, nice and high. Thank you. 5-0 in favor. This request is in the best interest of the county, the convenience of the community, and the public welfare. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Like I said, you've got some of the demographics sitting up here.
It's out.
We're looking for your price list.
You guys are in really good shape.
You want to know if you're.
Give yourself some credit. Yes.
All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. This application is suitable for the property in question and designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be in harmony with and appropriate in appearance to the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think from the design, the looking at the buildings and the other buildings in the area, it seems like you're doing a good job of making it blend together. And the fact that it's flat land adheres to that as well, so it seems to be well designed according to the specs.
In fact, I think the way they have it designed, it may even set a standard for the area.
That was an
One of
excellent
our goals.
presentation. Excellent presentation that shows, I think, that this question in general is well answered.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye. Raise your hands. 5-0. This request is suitable in terms of effects on highway traffic, parking, and safety with adequate access arrangements to protect streets from undue congestion and hazards. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A quiet second somewhere, I heard. Any discussion? So we heard some comments. He did address traffic in and out. One issue is off Bodyland Road, what the access is going to be there. And I drive that every day. I know what it's like. I assume you'll drive that forward to the best conclusion you
Can I
can.
make a comment?
No, not right now. Thank you, sir. I'm sorry, we can't do that.
And we will share the traffic study results with you guys and come to a conclusion in conjunction when those are available. They're just not ready to date. But based on early findings, the assumption is that it's going to have to be right in, right out off of Boundary Land to answer that question.
80-year-old coming from Walhalla, the
Please,
sight
sir.
line at that intersection means somebody's gonna die.
Please, sir, this is not the time for that.
Someone will die
This is not the time for
turning
that.
left.
You need to talk to council about that. It's not our job. We have a motion and a second.
You asked for things about danger with driving, that's part of your job. Someone will die turning left coming from Walhalla into that location.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sight line, how many accidents have there been now at that intersection? Because you can't see over the top.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe you should go there and look yourself.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye, please. Raise your hand so everybody can see. Are there any opposed? Okay, we have, this motion passes 4-0, 4-1, I mean.
Who was the one? Oh, okay.
So, in summary, based on the evidence presented to the board, do I hear a motion that the proposed special exception be approved?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have 5-0 in favor of the, we're done.
Thank you guys so much for the time.
Approved. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
One question, on your individual dwellings, are they gonna be sold, or are you gonna own those and lease them?
These are rentable units by the month, so it's driven by need. It's not necessarily you're trying to make your profit off of a sale. It's totally driven by need, and we expect this to be something that's in the area for long past the opening date.
I'm just curious.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Some developments like that, they actually sell the units.
Yep. Yeah, you've
Then they
seen
turn
those
them back
townhomes.
over
Correct.
to the developer, and then they get resold again.
Yep. These are rented units, to answer your question. So.
Any other questions of the, we're done with our considerations, but gentlemen's here, we can ask any questions if you want. Okay, thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Vivian, it's been a pleasure working with you so far. So thank you for all the help.
We'll be in contact. I'll just
Absolutely.
do a corridor.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Adam.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, please say aye. Thank you.
Didn't get a chance to